Great. Thank you both. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Senator Baldwin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Berry, your name appears on the Department of Labor chapter in Project 2025. A theme of that chapter is the role of women in the workplace. The chapter reads, just a quote, DOL should commit to honest study of the challenges for women in the world of professional work. The Women's Bureau at DOL tends towards a politicized research and engagement agenda that puts predetermined conclusions ahead of empirical study, end quote. Can you name a barrier that women face in the workplace?
Senator, thank you for the question. Thank you for the chance to talk about this. I want to start by identifying that so the chapter is not focused on that single issue. It's a broader context looking at the swath of labor employment issues.
We can all agree on that. I'm asking about, can you name a barrier that women face in the workplace?
Certainly, I think at times there's very real sex discrimination, for example.
Okay. What about a barrier identified by the Women's Bureau, wage inequity?
Right. So that is right. That would be downstream from a variety of issues. One of which is going to be sex discrimination.
Okay. Another from that same office, the Women's Bureau, that you say has been politicized. Do you agree that access to child care is a barrier to work for women?
Access to child care is absolutely an issue that that a lot of women in the workplace have to deal with. It's an issue for men as well. Yes.
Congress created the Women's Bureau in 1920 to address issues women face at work. And through investigations into working conditions of women in factories, the agency helped establish the 40-hour work week and the Fair Labor Standards Act. This administration has proposed to eliminate the Women's Bureau. Do you support that?
I support whatever the administration decides on that, what President Trump supports, but that was not one of the policy proposals discussed in the chapter that I was the lead author of.
So since the administration has proposed to eliminate the Women's Bureau, you do support that? Is that what I hear?
That will be ultimately, Senator, that's a decision as between President Trump and this Congress.
Okay. It's a simple yes or no question. He has proposed that.
Yes, and I'm
Thank
prepared
you.
to support the president.
Commissioner Lucas, I want to continue in the same line of questioning of my colleague, Senator Murray. The Equal Employment Opportunities Commission is charged with enforcing laws prohibiting workplace discrimination. However, as soon as you assumed the role of acting chair, you moved to dismiss every lawsuit filed by EEOC on behalf of workers who faced discrimination on the basis of their gender identity. One of those cases you moved to dismiss was on behalf of a farm worker on a farm in Illinois. In that case, the employer refused to call the employee by her name. Coworkers exposed themselves to her. And she was subjected to groping and sexual comments while at work. No employee should have to go through that. You moved to dismiss this case. Do you think it is appropriate for someone to be harassed like this anywhere, let alone at work?
Respectfully, Senator, I appreciate your question, but the only question before me at any particular moment is whether or not I can comply with the scope of my authority under the laws entrusted to me by Congress and as an executive branch agency head, the president's directives. And the combination
Perhaps
of
federal Supreme Court precedent in Bostock?
Certainly, and I'm delighted to have the opportunity to clarify the holding of Bostock. Bostock is unquestionably the binding precedent of the Supreme Court. It's entitled to respect as such. But
And I've also read Bostock, so I don't need a lecture on that. But another case, a worker at an airport restaurant was outed by her manager and harassed by coworkers, which led to a customer using both homophobic and racist slurs against her. After reporting this offensive sex-based and race-based harassment to a manager, the employee immediately had her airport security badge taken away, and that was effectively terminating her position. Again, you moved to dismiss this case. Do you think it is appropriate for an employee to face this type of retaliation in the workplace?
Again, Senator, I go back to my decision to have the agency dismiss those cases was made in consultation with career staff, unanimous support to that decision about balancing our obligations under the executive order defending
Have you
women.
directed EEOC staff to code all gender identity cases as meritless charges?
I appreciate your question, but unfortunately, I cannot answer it as it would require me to breach Title VII's confidentiality provisions and deliberative privilege and attorney-client privilege.
Senator Moody.
Thank you,